Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Balls Fantasy Football. Forgot to say at the beginning of the show, you gotta watch us at bigballsfantasyfootball.com. Gotta go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/bigballsfantasyfootball. You can also tweet us at bigballsfball. Also, we have a Kickstarter going right now, don't we, Jenilee? You want to lay a little bit of that on them?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a Kickstarter campaign, and if you're not familiar with what Kickstarter is, it's just something that people can donate money to creative projects.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a link up. You can just go to Kickstarter.com and search Big Balls Fantasy Football, or you can find the link. We're posting it like crazy on our Facebook page, and we appreciate anything you can give. You know, if you can give $2 or $5, you know, you go out and download a song for $1. It's going to give you a whole entire year, season and off season of information going on in the NFL.
It's crowdfunding, and we have a crowd every week that watches each one of our segments. That's at least about 3,000 views minimum. Everybody sends in $1. We've made our goal. So that's how simple it is. We're not begging. We just would like to finance another season to bring more coverage to you, as you just said.
Absolutely. There's 23 days left. So.
Yep. Thank you very much for all the people that have given already. So let's get into injury insanity. If I had a megaphone, I'd be talking into it. On our podcast, I have the effects thing. You know, I can cheat. But yes, very scary week in the NFL. If you were watching your game, all of a sudden you were watching the ticker and you saw this person's out and that person's out and, oh crap, this person's out. And then you looked down and you said, why aren't my players getting any points? And it was because basically the league got decimated with injuries this week.
Yeah, it was really a really odd week. You know, this usually doesn't happen until maybe week 4 or 5. Players typically get through the first few weeks, you know, maybe the first month, before a lot of major injuries are happening, but we do have some major ones, and a lot of them happened at the beginning of games as well, so you didn't even get, you know, a full half of the player playing or 3/4. I mean, you got no points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of a sudden you were thumbing down looking for the backups, and we'll talk about them later in the show. Let's get started with our perennial favorite, injured person. He's like Jackie Chan. Somebody I saw put a poster of him up on their Facebook of every injury this player has gotten. He's basically, we'll say it, he's been a bust in the NFL. Completely. Fantasy-wise. You maybe got some good points out of him the first season, but ever since it's been a bust. Good old RG3. What did he mess up this time?
He messed up his ankle this time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not fractured from what I understand.
Yeah, but he's still out for the season, which means you're screwed.
Yeah.
Not completely. That's what you have the waiver wire for, but...
Yeah, you can go grab Kirk Cousins, who definitely put on a show.
My segment.
Oh.
It's okay.
I forgot.
We're giving a preview. We're giving a preview. So, yeah. You go get their backup. So why don't you give us the next one?
Okay, so the next one, I had him on my team, and I still won, but it screwed me over, was AJ Green of the Bengals. He has turf toe. He is looking at a week 5 probably return. He does want to play in week 3, but I don't think the Bengals are going to let that happen because their bye week is week 4. So if they can just hold him out this week, he's got an extra week to recover, and he'll probably come back week 5. So.
And I mean, I know neither of us have him in our segments, but I mean, Mohamed Sanu did pretty damn good backing up for him. So I mean, he's an option to go for. Go pick him up and gamble on him if you want to. Dalton had a good week last week. He got me some points because I wasn't going to trust Cam Newton in his first week back after injury. I don't think anybody was going to. So.
Yeah, and they're low on receivers there. Marvin Jones is not back yet as well. I think he's looking maybe at a week 5, week 6 return. So Sanu is one of the only people they have.
He's it. Go pick him up. Next one is another perennial favorite of mine. Sorry, Smash. We were texting back and forth during the game, and as soon as he went out, Smash, our sexy super fan, Charger sexy super fan, you all know her, she let out a big fuck my life on the text. Ryan Matthews, everybody. we always say there's like an over-under on which game he's going to be crippled, and damn it, I didn't even get to like set up the timer. I didn't even get to turn the timer to like turn it on. Nope. He's out, sprained MCL, 4 to 5 weeks. You know, so basically, what is it, Ronnie Brown, I think, over there? Or I wouldn't take whoever's backup is, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably use Danny Woodhead more, so maybe that'll help you in a PPR league.
Actually, yeah, and I've seen Danny Woodhead. A lot of people dumped him off because he hasn't been producing as much as they thought in the flex the last few weeks, so it's a good option.
Might be out there.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, we have Deshaun Jackson. He sprained his AC joint, so there is no timetable for him yet. He's sore, and we're not sure. So
And
I think he's pretty much week to week.
I think that's exactly what his owners are, sore as well. That's what I think. Next one we have is Mark Ingram and the Saints. Turns out he got a broken hand. He's out for a month. So I will get into what you should do in that situation in beast mode.
And then we also have Nosha Moreno, dislocated his elbow. He will be out for 1 month. So obviously that brings Lamar Miller's value up quite a bit.
Damn it. Finally, the big one. Save the Big Rock Candy Mountain one for last. Jamaal Charles. Have him on my team. Actually, I have him on 2 of my teams.
Me too. On
And,
one.
and all of a sudden, you were like watching games. All of a sudden, you're like, why am I getting no points? Is it broken? You know, you're hitting your phone, your iPad, and all of a sudden, nope, he has a high ankle sprain. They didn't really know exactly what it was at the time, but on the cart, bye-bye, and out 3 to 4 weeks minimum, and I will also get into his backup in my Beast Mode segment.
So now we actually had a fan question on our Facebook page. So we love answering these. Keep sending your questions in for here and the podcast, obviously. Adrian Gomezi is who asked us this question.
Cool.
And it was basically a sit or start for 2 different players. So we're going to start with Roddy White. Sit or start?
I'm giving a very, very iffy start because he's kind of, you know, he was out and then he came and he played a week, but he has a hamstring injury. They think he's going to be okay this week. The reports are they're not worried about it, but we all know hamstring injuries. So, you know, put him in, but with caution. You might have to be putting up with, you know, tapping your phone, wondering where the hell the fantasy points are coming from.
Yeah, that is definitely a nagging injury. We obviously saw that from Alshon. But I would say to start him, this is why. It is a division game, and typically division games are not my favorite for fantasy points. But Tampa Bay has given up points to a lot less talented receivers that they've played against so far,
Good point.
like Brian Quick. So if they can give up some good fantasy numbers to a receiver like that, Roddy White is a veteran. We know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
They are middle of the ground. They've given up the 18th most fantasy points to wide receivers, so they're kind of in that middle land. They're definitely not covering wide receivers like some other teams are. And Atlanta is playing at home. Atlanta always plays better at home. They really need this bounce-back game after having a very tough road loss in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I look for Matt Ryan and the crew to bounce back. So I'd have to say start him.
Yep. Who's the other one?
The next one is Kendall Wright. Start or sit Kendall Wright from the Titans.
I say you go with him, and the reason being is even though last week Jake Locker had a really tough time finding him, you know, Jake Locker is going to get warmed up, and he's going to start throwing the ball, and he's one of his favorite targets, and I think he's going to find him, and I think after an off week, I think he's going to bounce back as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say if you're crippled with injuries to wide receivers, or if you're in a very deep league, I'm going to say start him. Obviously, if you have some key receivers out there that are better than him, then you're going to keep him on the bench. But if you're in a deep league, I know I'm having to do it because of injuries. I'm starting him this week, so I'm, again, I'm living by my own advice, and we're going to see if it works. But the Bengals have given up the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers so far. They're 26th versus the pass. but they're pretty doggone good against the run. I think they're 11th versus the run.
Yeah.
So that's going to make the Titans have a hard time running the ball. He has only missed 3 passes that have been thrown his way.
Right.
So he's catching pretty much every ball that's thrown his way. I think the Titans might get behind in this one. It might be a little tough because they're playing in Cincinnati. And also, so far, Locker's focus has been on Delaney Walker. So if the Bengals are smart, they're going to try to shut down Delaney Walker and force Locker to go to his wide receivers. And so far, Kendall Wright is the only wide receiver that has caught a touchdown in the first 2 games. So Nate Washington has not, and Justin Hunter has not either. So that gives me a little bit of faith that even if he doesn't get a ton of yardage, that maybe he'll at least get a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that a lot of people took, deep in their drafts, as a sleeper. And, every player is either super consistent or they're up and down. Players like him are going to be up and down. So I'd start him. I'd gamble on him. I think Cash would put him up as a gamble, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you never know. It might be a close game as well because the Bengals their receivers are hurting as well. So it could be a close game and, could end up being a little bit of a shootout.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching and going on our Facebook page and giving us that question. We do love answering these. It's fun. So when we come back, we are going to start with Jenilee this week and her Real Men. Stay tuned.